Let's do it.
So,
Hey, what's happening? Ward Wrestling Live. We are here. It's another morning. It's a big Wednesday. 4 shows coming up today. It's been one at a time, but luckily we had some good people reach out. And the first one of the day is an amazing wrestling mind in our country, Coach Adam Fahs out at NIACC. He was a Michigan State medalist, two-time NAIA qualifier at Indiana Tech, where they now have a women's program. And we had his women's wrestling coach on Rademacher the other day. But Coach Fahs is here with us. Man, brother, thanks so much for reaching out. It's an honor to have you. It's an honor to speak to you. Welcome.
absolutely appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, it's definitely been a blast. I mean, first of all, man, talk about your summer. What's it been like?
It's been slow. Just living out here in Iowa, small town. Just been staying busy, trying to. Obviously, with the COVID stuff, it was hard to, get the guys, get everything situated up at NIACC and all that stuff. But we ended up getting it all worked out. Got the guys all moved in, and they've started classes a few weeks back. Everything's going well. So we're sitting around 30 guys on the roster, and everything's going good. So
Now, Youth National's still on?
from what I've heard, yes. From what I've heard. So
Right.
you never know. Anything can change. Anything can
Well, I
change.
keep hearing things like I'll talk to Iowonians or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
Iowans,
I went.
Yeah. And you'll hear that the states open up, and then all of a sudden you'll hear that they shut the whole state, and then it's back out. So where are you sitting at now? Are you starting to see things getting back a little bit to normal somewhat?
Yeah. We're starting to see things get back to normal out here. It's just a matter of we're taking the necessary precautions that need to. We'd rather take the time to make sure everything gets cleared up so we can have our season and compete and do all this stuff rather than put all 30 guys in the room at once or put 20 guys in the room at once and then take that chance. And so, and I know there's a lot of programs in the area and a lot of coaches in the area that have been talking that way, things like that. So it's just a matter of doing what's necessary to make sure that we can have a season.
Now talking to the 4-year guys, they're testing guys before they get in the room. Are you
Yep.
seeing that at the 2-year level too?
Obviously not as frequently as a lot of the D1 programs and the 4 years and things like that, but we're staying on top of it. Obviously before we do anything, the questions, that's the screening questions. Have you been around anybody? Have you had a cough, fever, anything like that? So, but we like to.
Of course, in true athlete form, it's like asking if they have a concussion. They're like, no, 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 no.
Exactly. And so that's also another underlying problem with it, but we're making do with it. So I'm excited. It's going to be a very long season. We were talking about that the other day with nationals in the junior college level getting pushed back. It's going to be a very long season. So it's just a matter of pacing ourselves and just making sure we do the right things.
Yeah. Now, are you still locked into the youth scene there too, other than the college scene? Are you still kind of locked into the club levels and talking to some of the?
Yeah, my club coaching started out in Michigan. So when I came out here to Iowa, I obviously had that background a little bit, but I started picking up kids, under my wing a little bit in the area and the community that wanted that extra work. And we've had some success, and we're going to continue to have success. But I probably out here, I'd say I have a handful of kids, but back in Michigan was walking around with, we probably had 30, 35 kids in our club team back there.
So, the reason I ask is I've heard talking to club coaches around the country,
Hmm.
and some of those club coaches are the club coach and the high school coach, and
Yep.
they're talking about if these high schools associations decide not to go or forgo the season, they're talking about doing like club duels and things like that. Is that something that you're starting to hear about in Iowa as well?
Not so much. This is a wrestling state, and so
Yeah.
we're going to do whatever we got to do to make sure there's wrestling. And so if football's going, which it's been going for 4 weeks now, I think they're going on to week 5 in football.
Nice.
We don't see them not starting wrestling now. Fans and things like that could be the only limitation, whether they'll let spectators in and stuff like that. But I think they'll be wrestling. I think the schedules might be a little bit restructured as far as like conference opponents and things like that and not traveling as far. But I firmly believe there'll be high school wrestling this year in Iowa.
Nice. And, so far they say that we're going to have high school wrestling in Florida as well. Right now, FHSAA has come out and set the date as the same date as normal. So
Yep.
uh, fingers crossed, we're going to see our first real big tournament in Florida this weekend with the qualifier for the 32.
Yep.
There's going to be probably 700, 800 kids there. So, I'm sure normally I don't think it's as big as that, but everybody wants to wrestle, right?
Everyone's got the itch.
Yeah. And Coach Bird, who typically puts on a lot of these big events, um, I've heard through the grapevine, he's doing a great job of preparing it. He's got different wait times. So he's setting it up to, you can come in, from 9 to noon or the low weights, from noon to here, or the middle weights from here to, and he's trying to kind of stair step it.
I think that's a good idea.
Or stagger it. So I think when FHSAA sees that he pulls this off successfully and everything goes great, I think that's going to be another big step in the right direction. So
Exactly. It's a learning experience for everybody. I mean, you want to be the innovator and kind of start the trend of making sure things are running smooth, but all eyes are going to be on them at the same time. So
yeah, fingers crossed, right?
yep, absolutely.
Well, hey, so first of all, you're at North Iowa NIACC.
Yep.
Tell us about your program. Tell us, what makes it, one of the best junior colleges in the country to wrestle at. You're out there in Iowa.
Yep.
What
It's a first year experience for me up there, so I'm still learning the ropes and everything like that. But just being out here for the past 4 years in this Iowa conference and junior college level has been amazing. I mean, NIACC has always had a really solid team. We've always had really good dual meets with them. They've always put guys in the national finals. They've had multiple All-Americans. And so when they called me and said, we want you on board, it was a no-brainer that I was going to do it. And so I was excited, and I know I know the history and the tradition that they have there. And I think I fit it perfectly. So I think what we have on the roster this year, what we have as coaches, I think it's going to be a very fun year.
This is not your first community college. So what makes what makes community college important? What makes it great? And what type of kid, or what do you tell kids that should do the community college wrestling as a step up into the next level?
Yeah, I never heard of community college wrestling being what it is until I came out here. And so it's something that I've fully submerged myself in, and I love it. But the message isn't really any different than, recruiting a kid to a 4-year. It's just, let's get here, let's do what we need to do. And there's a lot of circumstances why a kid will end up at a junior college. I mean, I could write a book about all the different reasons on why a kid would come to junior college, but you never know what you're going to get. And so it's just a matter of fitting their needs. A lot of it is in the name, community. You want the community comes together and surrounds the campus, and they want the kids to feel like they're at home and things like that. And so that was a big thing for us, was making sure that we had the community, my first 3 years out here, that we had the community behind us. And any kid that we brought, no matter if it was from Florida to Michigan to North Carolina, out west, it didn't matter where we were bringing them from. We wanted them to feel like this was home. And that was the big thing. And if it felt like home, they were going to be successful. They were going to make sure they went to class. And it's just such a small community that everybody was on top of them. It wasn't just us coaches. And so that was the nice part.
Now, do you typically get, obviously everybody watches like The Last Chance U or whatever,
Yeah.
Totally different sport, but probably a lot of the same concepts. Do you typically get the kid that is a high school wrestler and either just needs some help academically to get to the next level, or maybe needs another year in the room before they can really get to that next level and be competitive? Or do you typically get that kid that went off to a 4-year and kind of fell off for whatever reason and needed kind of a recharge?
Yeah, we'll get a whole slew of them. I mean, it's different. I mean, the network in junior college you're still hearing from high school coaches, and then you're also hearing from 4-year coaches as well about kids that they have that may need that step back, whether it's to mature a little bit or to get their grades right, things like that. So you never know. The high school, high schoolers, it's very similar. It can be the same situation, or it can just be, I'm not ready for that big jump to a 4-year yet, or I'm not ready to, I do better in a small classroom environment, things like that. And so chance for them to just kind of feel college out and get their feet wet before they decide if they want to go to that big 4-year university or college.
I thought so. You're recruiting a kid, whatever. So what's those big names that you throw out and be like, yo, look, this guy is doing big things. He started off at a community college. This guy's doing big, or this girl's doing big thing, or whatever it is. You ever?
It just depends on the area. Like if we're recruiting down in Florida, like I said, we've had a lot of kids from Florida that have had success. And so, we've had the kids from South Dade, we've had the kids from Palmetto, the Miami schools, things like that. We've had success with those kids. So it doesn't take much just to say, we've had this kid, he's had success, and the coach knows it, things like that. And so it's all about creating those funnels and those pipelines that'll, where you can just keep those good kids coming in.
Well, there's a certain heavyweight champ that just retired that started off in community college, didn't he?
I believe so. That was Mr. Daniel Cormier, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think he did okay.
Yeah, he seemed to have a lot of success. There's a lot of big names that have gone through this level that have had a lot of success, and it's a matter of just getting the kid to buy into it and believe it. And so
That's awesome, man. So your alma mater is now, I hope I say the Portage Central.
Yep, Portage Central High School is where I went. Yep.
Michigan. So growing up in Michigan, becoming a wrestler, is that one of those states where you're like born with headgear, or did you find your way to the room?
Oh God, no! As you see these years, headgear was not something I ever used. So it's
you were born in a singlet.
Yeah, growing up, it was I had one of those old like red and blue reversible singlets that was like the thick stitching up the side, and then we had I didn't know folk style until I got to middle school. So we were freestyle and Greco-Roman all the way up until I got to middle school, and then I started picking up what folk style was, and yeah, that was it. But I was a freestyle and Greco-Roman guy from birth.
Wow, you went from Michigan wrestling to Iowa wrestling. How does it compare?
I got humbled a little bit. Some tough people out here, the egos and things like that, but when you get in, when you submerge yourself to it, it's a lot of fun. It's a ton of fun. These are some of the most passionate people I've ever met out here when it comes to the sport of wrestling.
Well, Maury Tomke says Adam Fahs is the man. And then another pretty good wrestler just said Adam is the man. One, Julia Salada. She just commented Adam's the man. Well, you're the woman. And
shout out to Julia.
Yeah. They probably can't believe that match, but I think she had it wrapped up in the bag, right?
Yeah, she's a longtime friend of mine, really good friends. So I was happy to see her compete. The result obviously didn't go in her favor, but I was happy to see her compete. So
yeah, it was good. And I've been trying to. I had her on, and then I've been trying to get as many girls as I can on. You've probably seen it. I've had 42 so far, and so shout out to how she wrestles and wrestle like a girl. So big things they're doing.
I love it.
Yeah, I've got actually tonight. They say arguably maybe the best pound for pound young wrestler in the country, and her sister, which is pretty good too. The Blade sisters are coming on at 7:00. So that should be exciting too, especially for the girls.
Yep, I know I'll be tuning in. So
yeah, you'll be there, man. So you've obviously coached. You've also been the athlete. Which one do you prefer? Which one is more gratifying?
I like coaching better. I do miss competing. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed competing and the feeling of getting my hand raised. But I think I've learned in my time coaching that there's just so many other aspects to it. It's so much more gratifying watching a kid come from nothing and make himself into something. that's the best part, or leave there with, you know, an associate's and then get a bachelor's and get a master's, and then they start their own coaching career. So to me, I've learned that that's way more gratifying than getting your hand raised, but I always miss getting my hand raised. So,
Yeah. What what has wrestling meant for you in your career?
oh, it's opened up so many doorways. I've met so many people and traveled so many cool places. And I mean, I don't know if I'll ever be able to give back to the sport what it gave to me, but you know, I'm going to keep trying and keep doing what I can. But it's what you put into it, what you're going to get out. And that's kind of the best. That's my favorite thing about it.
Shanoff Johnson says Phenom Wrestling.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Eric Boersma says, Coach Fahs. Roman says, what's up? Can't wait to see you back here in Michigan working with the kids soon. We are Warrior Wrestling.
Yep. That's one of the local clubs back in Michigan. So they're getting the little guys started out young and everything like that, just with the basic techniques and everything. So, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm awesome. I'm honored they're listening. So thank you guys for listening and following the show and supporting me. So I appreciate it. So, when you're, so two things. I know as a community college coach,
Yep.
It kind of comes full circle for you. You've got to recruit a certain type of kid at the level to come to your school. But then on the other hand, you've got to now help that kid do the right things to be able to promote him to the bigger schools. What kind of stuff do you tell these kids to prepare for coming into college at the next level and then preparing for going from community college to the next level?
It's a big process. I mean, a lot of these kids, they bypass that process to come to a community college and build themselves up, so then they can have those options and, you know, really enjoy that process of what it's like to be recruited by a lot of programs and a lot of good programs, you know, per se. But it's just a matter of continuing to grind. And we like to, you know, we want to teach these kids that it's not just wrestling that's going to get you there. There's a lot of other things that are going to get you that 4-year school that they're looking at. Wrestling is the last thing that they're looking at. You know, they want to know if you're going to class, if you're getting the grades, if you're a good person in this, you know, in society, in the community, if you're, you know, doing all the right things. And that, you know, wrestling is kind of the reward that you get for doing all the things before that. And so that's what we preach. And, you know, the coaches that want to recruit these guys to 4-year schools, they understand that we put a big emphasis on everything before wrestling.
Now, do you at a community college, do you only wrestle community colleges, or do you get to go to some of these big open tournaments?
No, we get to go to some of the big opens, which is nice, which is exposure for a lot of our guys. You know, if they go out there and, you know, are beating these D1 guys, D2 guys, things like that, the phone's going to ring for them. And so that's where our motivation comes in. That's why we hit the dirt hard. We go, you know, we hit the preseason hard because we want to come out firing, you know, on these guys in the at these opens, at these early opens, because it puts a name out for us. And so.
Your alma mater, Indiana Tech, obviously I had Rademacher on the women's side, starting the women's program. I'm sure he's going to do amazing things. Yeah. But he had mentioned that the men's program has set a bar there where there, you know, a lot of academic All-Americans, a lot of great athletes, the college program doing big things. What did Indiana Tech mean to you? And, you know, why did you know that was the right place? And then, you know, what do you tell kids about NAIA?
Yes, Indiana Tech, always going to be home. I got a lot of buddies still there helping coach, and, you know, it's always going to be my family. We started the program there, and so I was on the first ever team at Indiana Tech for wrestling, and so it was cool. It was a long process of you know, we went through a lot of stuff, and, you know, the late Mike Esther, he passed away about a year ago. He was or a little over a year ago. He was our head coach, and Coach Pompey, the guy there now who's the head coach, was our assistant, and so lots changed, and I'm glad it's stayed within that close-knit family, and they're bringing a lot of the guys back to help coach. And I'm a big advocate of the NAIA. I will always support them. I'll always, you know, recommend a guy to go to the NAIA if he's, you know, between that or another another division. I love the NAIA. I think it just the way it's expanding and growing, I think it just provides a lot of great opportunities for kids, especially at the junior college level. I think it's a perfect transition, a perfect jump for them.
What do you think it means for Indiana Tech wrestling now to add the women's side?
I think it's absolutely huge. I know they have one of the nicest wrestling rooms in the country. And so to have not only that, but to, include a women's program there as well, I think it's awesome. I think they're going to be very relevant here soon. They're going to come out firing. I think Coach Rademacher is going to have them ready. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's exciting to see all the programs, opening up. Obviously, we have seen some D1 programs kind of get taken, and hopefully maybe we'll see them get back. But on the positive side, we've also seen a lot of programs start and come as new wrestling programs. So we recognize that as well. And it's been cool. I mean, I've just met this process. So all the people I've met and seen opening up these wrestling rooms is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the way wrestling is growing is awesome. I love it. It's been fun to watch over this past decade. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got to imagine you've seen even the NAIA go from probably just a handful of schools to now. I mean, it's got as many schools, as many wrestling programs as I think the D1 schools, right?
It's getting there. Yeah, if it's close. I mean, they're everywhere. They're popping up all the time. So
yeah, didn't you? And you guys just got a new one in Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa Wesleyan, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. You ready for the 10 questions?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, man. You prefer an IBT or a duel?
Duel.
Rib crib or roosters?
Roosters.
You prefer live goes or a clinic?
Clinic.
Blue Heron or LD's filling station?
Ooh, Blue Heron.
Folk style or freestyle?
Freestyle.
Pasta Bella or Blaze?
Blaze.
Summer clubs or summer camps?
Summer clubs.
The Best or Ruth Chris?
Ruth Chris.
Snow cones or ice cream cones?
Ooh, snow cones.
All right, Village Court or coffee and bagels?
Coffee and bagels. Definitely.
I did my research in your little town. They were all right there.
Yep.
That was fun. Man, this has been amazing, man. Keep kicking life's butt, man, doing big things. I was honored that you reached out. I'm so thankful I had you on. We can do this anytime you want. And thanks again.
Absolutely, Dan. I appreciate you having me on, and keep doing what you're doing. I'll support it always. So
All right, appreciate it. You have a great day.
awesome, man. You too. Take care.
See you.